Hey everybody, Adam here. On this episode of Linux Tips, we're going to take a look at the installation process of Manjaro Linux and maybe look around a little bit and see what the differences are between this and Antergos. I've had people ask me since my last Antergos review, what's the difference? They're both based on Arch Linux and they both have a nice GUI installer. So what is the difference? And I couldn't answer the question because I've never run Manjaro. So here's where we're going to find out. The first thing I noticed is that the installation options for Manjaro are a little different. They had a KDE installer, an XFCE installer, and they also had a Net Edition installer, but anything else. So if you wanted GNOME 3 or Cinnamon or OpenBox or Enlightenment or any other desktop environment, you had to install one of these other flavors and then install the package from the repository. So Antergos Linux had, from what I remember, they had KDE, they had, let me think, they had KDE, Cinnamon, GNOME 3, and a few others. And the nice thing was it was still one ISO image that you had to download, and then in the install process you picked your desktop environment. Now, since we haven't done the install process yet here, that may be the case here, I don't know. So this right here is the live boot. So I booted up in a virtual machine off of the ISO image, and this is just what it looks like. So it does have a live environment, nice green background, and comes with Firefox for the default browser, and you could run this off a USB stick if you wanted to and basically have a working system if you just want to run it as a live system to test it, or in a virtual machine like I'm doing here. So, but that's not what we're going to do here. We're going to do, oh, and this is the KDE ISO image. We're going to do the installer. So, let's see, I think, yeah, I just click that, select English. English, I'm in the United States, so I want English US. Funny, I picked English US, yet it went to Germany, Berlin time zone. You'd think it would have went, oh, English US, and at least picked one of the time zones in the United States. But, you know, that's silly to complain about, but it is something I just noticed. So, pick my time zone, I'm on the West Coast, forward. USA keyboard, forward. It's not detecting that I have internet. Now that's interesting because, as you saw, I pulled up the web browser and it pulled up Google just fine. So this is weird. So let's see if we can get a console. Let's see if we can ping Google 8.8.8.8. So the installer is a little confused. It doesn't think we're connected to the internet. I'm going to just hit forward and see what happens. Won't let me. So the installer is a little weird. They have other installers, so we can try another one. So let's just close out of this one. Now it's hung. Jeez. So that's not a good sign in my book. Come on. Close. The applicant's not responding. Okay, terminate. So that isn't a good sign. We might need to restart the machine. Machine so we're going to reboot it. That's the beauty of doing this without rehearsing, is you just never know what's going to happen. So let's restart our VirtualBox. You can see the startup screen. Typical grub type machine. Startup. Start. Manjaro. Loading Linux kernel. It's the same starting version as Antergos and Arch. It had 3 installer options. I picked the top one called Thus. We'll try the second one, and the third one was command line, and that's kind of what we're trying to avoid by going with one of these GUI desktop installers, is we don't want to do the command line installer. So if I can't get the second installer to work, then I'll just consider this a fail and show that, you know, one of the reasons that Antergos might be a little better than Manjaro is at least it installs in a VM. I mean, there's nothing special about this VM. It's an 8 megs of RAM, and I gave it 72 gigs for hard disk space. And so it's my standard image for all the installers I've done. Okay, so we're back to the installer selection. So this other installer is called Calamares. Calamares? So let's click that and see what happens. Welcome to Manjaro Linux 16.06.1 Daniela installer, English, United States. My location, obviously that's not the United States, so it still doesn't pick up on time zones very well. English, US, default. BIOS, select storage device. That's my 72 gig virtual hard drive. Erase. We'll just let it do its own partitioning because I don't really care about partitioning on a virtual. So hit next. What is my name? Fratum. What name do you want to use to log in? Fratum. We'll do Fratum. What is the name of this? Manjaro. This one, right? Yeah. VM. Choose a password, super secret. Log in automatically, no, use the same password for the sure. Next. So this installer seems a little better. It's not bitching about internet and it's not locked up. Summary. Good. Install. Okay, so what we learned here is to use the Calamares installer. So, if you're going to install this in a virtual machine, that's something you should know. It could have been a fluke that the Thus installer failed on me. Hard to tell, because that was my first try and only try. Okay, so as this installs, I'm going to fast forward a little bit so you guys don't have to see, you know, a percentage counter. That's boring. And I'll be back when it's done. Okay, so it's done. It took a few minutes for it to install, and it seemed kind of slow, but it was stuck at 26% for a long time, and then it hit, and then after a little bit of time it went to 27%, and then it went to 49%, and then after 49% it just kind of sped up and finished. And as I mentioned before, it did not ask me what desktop environment I want. So Manjaro does require a different ISO image based on which desktop environment you want. So that's a little different. And Antergos, just for comparative, when you do the installer, since it downloads stuff off the internet as part of the install, it asks you what desktop environment you want to have installed. So it's all in the same one ISO for all the desktops that it supports. So that's interesting. So now it wants to restart. So we go ahead and hit quit and let this puppy reboot. Hopefully it doesn't boot up the ISO again. We will see. I like their color scheme. I like the green. It looks really nice. The taskbar down at the bottom, I didn't really care for too much. It looked a little big to me, but you know, that's kind of stuff you can adjust. Okay, shutting down seems to be taking a little bit of time. I've had other Linux distros hang on shutdown on virtual machines, and so it's not uncommon, and it's usually the first time, so we might be able to just do a reboot. Let's see here. Machine. Let's do reset and see what happens. Reset. Hopefully it's not booting off of the ISO image. Oh, we'll go start boot from hard disk. There we go. Oh man, that's an old style boot screen. So Manjaro Linux, loading 4.4.13 kernel, and I'll look on my box to see what kernel I'm running. 4.5 kernel, so it's an older kernel, but it might update. So Plasma is our desktop, that's what we chose. Oh. Log in. Instead of the KDE logo on the boot up screen, you're getting this weird little Manjaro. And there we have it. Now, the question that I'm curious about is what... I don't like that icon, it's ugly. What version? It looks like Plasma 5, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to find out. System settings. About? Is there an about? About system. Yeah, so it's running Plasma 5, so that's good. That's what you want. Plasma 4, KE 4 is good too, but you want the cutting edge. If you're gonna go through the trouble of running an Arch-based Linux distro, you want to be running, you know, up-to-date stuff. So, not much really to show. I mean, it's KDE 5. It's I wonder what their update manager looks like. That didn't pull. Oop, update. It's just running slow to pull it up, I guess. Up. Browser, user manager. Let's see. So a lot of commands I'm used to in Antergos aren't in here. So language rec. I don't see settings manager. Trash ban, most recent. Can't click that. Clock's a little off. Okay, let's go to here. Computer system settings should be similar to what we're used to. Yeah, so that's no biggie. Let's see, applications, settings, multimedia. How do you update? I mean, I know how to do it from command line. So, I don't know if it has an update manager. System. Add or remove software. Octopi, that's their package manager, so I bet you that does it. So they got a nice little package manager. That's kind of nice. So we can look for something like wine, I guess. Wine. It's one version behind on wine. Antergos is 1.9.12. This one's on 1.9.11. So that's not bad. The 1.9.12 just came out literally this morning, so they may just be testing it first. So you got a nice little package manager that lets you install whatever you want. Apache. There's Apache. So that's useful. Didn't see a update manager though. Applications, utilities. Use a spectacle for screen grabs. That's what I use. Does it have Kate? I love the Kate editor. Kate's installed. That's my favorite text editor in Linux right now. Supports tabs and it's just kind of nice. My favorite GUI. I use Vim otherwise. So the default install doesn't seem to come with a lot. It does look like it comes with LibreOffice installed. I'm not sure if let's see, I'm looking on my system. You can't see me do it just to see if it came with it. I don't use LibreOffice. Yeah, see, LibreOffice didn't come installed on Antergos, so maybe this comes with more installed applications, and that might explain why it took a little longer to install. Add, remove software. So, I guess the big differences is update times, since Antergos is full-blown Arch with one added repository. I don't know if that's true with Manjaro. Let's see if Pacman-S htop. So the command line stuff's the same. So it is Arch Linux. Well, it's based on Arch Linux. I would have to play with it a lot more to get an idea of what the major differences are. But I think either way, if you want to experience Arch Linux without going through the command line installer, this isn't a bad option either. Manjaro Linux, manjaro.org, I think is the URL. Or Antergos. I prefer Antergos, mainly because I've been using it. I've been using it now for a few months and I really enjoy it. But this is, I mean, I don't like the ugly icon pack. But that's a dumb reason to, well, maybe not. Maybe when you have all these choices out there, maybe it's not necessarily a dumb reason to not want to use one version of a OS compared to another. You know, you want to be happy and comfortable in whatever you're using. And, you know, I'm not seeing any special applications here that don't exist on other distros. The versioning, like I said, is a little old, but that could be that it needs to do an update, and I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Show hidden icons. Octopi Notifier. I'm guessing that's their update manager? I know that. Refresh. So that looks like it's syncing the file database, which it should have done that in the beginning. So my overall opinion is it's an easy installer once you get around which installer to use, which, as you saw earlier, the Thus installer did not work in a virtual machine. Will it work in a full-blown install? Probably. I mean, I don't know if it was a VM issue or not. I don't have another computer laying around that I would want to install this on to see if it works directly from a disk install. So it's buyer beware. Whatever one works. And then the third option was command line, and we didn't try that. If you're going to go as far as command line, you might as well just go full-blown Arch and just skip the third-party versions of Arch on either distro. So it's nice. So I guess the next time someone asks me, well, how's it compared to, how does Manjaro and Antergos compare? They're pretty close to the same. I mean, it's just a different group of people maintaining a different distribution. The installer went pretty easy. Packages that I would expect to be there are there. They have a different package manager for updates, but that's just a short learning curve that you could learn pretty quick. And it's a nice distribution. I'm really digging the green in this theme. It's really easy on the eyes. I don't know. I might copy that on my install. Just not the green background. I hate the KDE background with the shapes and stuff. And first thing I do is change my background image. But I do like the terminals green. That's kind of nice looking and easy on the eyes. I think if working all day, this wouldn't fatigue your eyes as much. So that's it. Manjaro Linux. I will not be doing a review of this in a month because I'm not going to switch. I'm sticking with Antergos. I really like it, but this is still a good option. And Antergos works great for gaming, by the way. I have no idea when Manjaro, because it's in a virtual machine, I have really no way of testing its ability as a gaming platform. So if you have experience with Manjaro on the gaming platform, or just have some opinions, or just want to talk about it, please post it in the comments below. I mean, we get a conversation going about it, and we can give feedback to other people. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great night. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. That way you'll get notified anytime I release a new video, which I try to do a couple times a week. Anyways, have a great night. Thanks a lot. Bye.